Welcome to Life Unlimited. I'm your host, Nora Oliver, a certified life coach, organizational development practitioner, and founder of 10 Times Nora Oliver. My passion is helping people break through obstacles, gain clarity, and take action to create a life they truly love. You can learn more about work at www.noraoliver.com. On today's episode, Healthy Habits, Strong Families, a guide to better living, we're diving into the everyday choices that shape our health and the well-being of our families. My guest, Sarah Tugender, has been immersed in healthcare and wellness her entire life. She's born when her father was a first-year medical student at Tufts University. She spent her childhood in hospitals and medical practices, even bringing her dolls to the break room to get real stitches. For 20 years, Sarah has been helping health providers maximize their impact while spreading the movement of wellness. She and her husband, Dan, own Nutrition and Whole Health Solutions in Stoneham, an 18-year-old business dedicated to helping people heal naturally without the unnecessary drugs or surgeries. Sarah lives in Boston, in the North Shore, with Dan and their 3 young children, Ella, Brody, and Duke, where they truly walk the walk of a healthy lifestyle while enjoying everything New England has to offer. I'm so excited for this conversation because building strong, healthy habit isn't just about us. It's about creating a foundation for our families to thrive. So let's get started. Welcome, Sarah. It's so good to have you here.
Nora, thank you so much for having me. Your show is fabulous, and
Thank
it feels like great to be here with you.
That's awesome. So can you share a little bit about your background, how you got started in this industry?
Yeah. It came with my dad asking him a lot of questions. I remember being 19 years old and being in his medical practice and seeing a purple box up on the shelf, and in it was wrapped these chocolate-covered calcium supplements. And I said to my dad, are you telling your patients about these? What are you doing? He goes, I don't know. One of the reps just brought them in. And I said, but do you recommend these? Do you talk to your patients? Do I need calcium? Should I take these chocolate calcium supplements? And he goes, I don't really know. And I said, that's not really good enough. So we dove in together to really learn about it. But I didn't grow up. I grew up with the good mac and cheese, Nora, the Kraft mac and cheese. My parents didn't do store-bought.
Since then. But I love that you were curious, right? What is this? And why do you have it here? And how are you going to use it? How is it going to help others? Is it going to help others?
Right, yeah. And that was a journey that I went on and have been on. And we have to continue to be on because the rules keep changing.
Absolutely.
And so, is anyone really an expert? There you go. No, because we have to keep evolving with what's happening.
Absolutely. It's a whole new world than how we grew up.
Totally.
Right, when we were kids.
Yes.
The food and the lifestyles, everything. So why is family health so important, and what are the biggest challenges that families are facing today?
Yeah. I think that one of the things that makes it so important is you hear this from adults, and a mantra that I bet you've heard before. I have, and put in a disease here. I have diabetes. I have heart disease. I have this because it runs in my family. And yes, there is genetic propensity to things, but you want to know what else runs in families? Family traditions. Things like, it's your birthday, so we're going to have a birthday cake. Right. You got an A on a test, so I'm going to take you to Dairy Queen. These things that happen, and I can almost guarantee that families eat very similar to one another.
I think from being a mom myself, I can say a lot about that. It does, because what you eat, you're passing it on to your next generation. So you have to watch out, right? If you want to change. You have to start today versus, keep going, right? Whatever.
Yeah. And it's challenging because there's just new information out there so what are we looking at and what are we eating? And even the ingredients of the things keep changing. I'm always watching and saying brands that maybe I was recommending to clients, friends, Now I'm not,
they're
because
not
I
getting
can't
anymore.
trust it in the same way what the ingredients are. And so I think that part, the transparency, is, you know, the most challenging thing.
And then of course we have new studies as well, right? What used to be good or seen as good is no longer good, because as you just mentioned, now what used to be organic and non-GMO is processed, and now we've come up with new terms as to, you know, processed, but it's natural, or there's different wording to kind of sneak it in there, make us think that it's healthy, but in reality, it really is harming us.
Absolutely.
So what are the key components of a balanced diet for families?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's something that's going to work for you, because you know, you're not going to drive yourself crazy and have stress about it. And that is something I think, you know, as even a mom in the household, as a woman, you know, you make a lot of those choices for the whole family. And you know, one of the things that I think that can be a little weird is when maybe mom eats one way because she's trying to do something, and then the kids are eating something different. But I think one of the biggest challenges, Nora, is that so few families have time to sit around a family table and share a meal. So it's you eat because you're home, and you eat then, and I have something on the stove for you, and then dad comes home later. That's a huge challenge.
Absolutely. I mean, we have picky eaters, right? That's the term we use. But in reality, we made those kids picky eaters, right? Because like you said, maybe mom didn't have time to sit down and eat with the kids, so you provided different foods for the kids versus what you were actually eating. So, you know, sitting around a table is very important, like you said.
And it's not realistic to do maybe every night of the week. Can you find one night a week? Can you, you know, really make that a priority? Can you find a different meal? Is everyone home for, you know, breakfast? Is everyone home for a lunch on a weekend? Whatever makes sense. I really think sitting around and modeling that good behavior is one of the most important things.
And it starts from when they're babies, right? Your children. And once you form those habits, they stick with you. But if you don't, if you're not consistent with that, then, you know,
consistency
you're looking
so
for trouble
hard too, right?
It is. Well, I get it. You know, you're a mom or a dad, or, you know, a single parent, and you've got these little, you know, human beings to take care of and feed and educate, and it's challenging. But it's very important, because you have to look at long term, how is this going to affect us as a family, but how is it going to affect me and my children as well? So long term, whatever investment you put into taking care of your family, eating healthy, forming whatever habits that's going to help you stay healthy, that's what we need to focus more on.
That's the foundation.
So how can, talking about busy parenting, so do you have any strategies or any ideas how you know, any guidance where maybe something that a family can do to make it easier in staying healthy, eating healthy?
Well, first it's going to depend on what stage of family you're in, right? Because an infant is not as capable as, you know, maybe now our kids are, you know, where I try to get them involved in whatever kind of the process that they can get involved in. I'm starting them to chop things up, starting them to wash the produce in the way that we teach them to wash the produce. Even something as simple as getting them to put the dishes in the dishwasher, you know, at the end of the meal, can really take the load off of whoever's really responsible. But I have something that I really try to empower families to, that, you know, you don't have to go and spend a fortune and, you know, try to buy everything and get advice and spend money everywhere. But sometimes little investments will make things more possible. So I tell everyone, if at the end of the day you're going to eat more veggies if you get them pre-cut up, I get it. It's going to cost you an extra, you know, $3.
Or meal planning, right?
Whatever it is.
You don't have to, you know, I know my kids, for example, they prefer hot meals versus cold meals. But sometimes you can meal prep on a Saturday or Sunday. One day a week, you can save yourself so much time. But staying healthy is so important. So, you know, I think that, you know, I don't know if you have any other tips in regards to that, but I think you have to find out what works best.
The other thing, I love online shopping, like, so being able to do that. So whether it is an Instacart, a Whole Foods pickup, whatever fits your budget. Right now, personally, in the North Shore, I don't know if your audience is just local to us, but the Shaw's delivery app has been my absolute favorite. And I can just go and do the organics. It's their own shoppers that are the people who do the shopping.
Really?
So it's not, it's not a third party. So they don't have that, I don't know where the mangoes are, they know exactly where everything is. They tend to have most of their things in
that's
stock.
great. It saves you time.
So much money,
that 1
too.
hour, especially if you have little kids.
It's the last
It's very hard to drag them around.
Because they make the grocery stores make it so good. I want the, chocolate, whatever, this here that's on the aisle. And it's hard. And you're exhausted. And so save the time.
But also, if you go shopping when you're hungry, you're looking for trouble.
No, we're all looking for trouble.
You do end up buying things that you don't even need. So what are some simple, healthy snacks that kids will actually eat?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think naming things is half the battle. So, and starting this when they're young. So it can be something, this is probably something we've all, maybe we all have, I don't know, you have to tell me, but like an ants on a log, right? So in that kind of concept, right? The celery that has the peanut butter with a couple little raisins, and you call them ants on a log. Things like that, when you call it monster toast, or and that's avocado toast, right? And it can make it so it seems a bit more fun. But I have really found that my kids, and I'm okay with this, they love a good snack box. They love a good charcuterie board. And sometimes,
what's a charcuterie board?
Like a cheese board. But sometimes it doesn't have to be like a cheese board. It can be things like I will pair, fruits and vegetables and some proteins and everything on there, and I'll let them pick.
So
I'll say
balanced.
mix and match. And sure, maybe they'll grab, the grain-free cracker first. But it is funny, when I leave it out long enough as they're playing and as they're doing things, I do find all of a sudden my little kid-friendly charcuterie board is totally eaten. And they will try things that they didn't think, especially when I name them funny names. Add a toothpick in there. Like things that make it really fun.
I've done that, actually. I've done little cool designs. Make a face with fruit and vegetables, or you can add a little bit cheese.
Right.
But I know what you're talking about. I think it's very helpful. And also, what I found out that really, really helps with my kids is giving them options.
Totally.
Right? Not option to choose from anything, but narrow it down to 2 or 3.
Right.
Do you want A, or do you want B or C?
Yes.
And they're all healthy options.
Totally.
But they're making decisions because growing up as kids, you want to be able to make your own decisions, aside from just always being told.
Yes.
So I think that helps, at least with my kids. So how do you handle picky eaters? We just talked about that, while still encouraging healthy nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up. Like, that is a great, these are your options. First of all, I will say to any mom, what did you bring into the house? So if it's not in the house, it's not an option. We can't even have it.
Exactly. If you don't want them drinking soda, well,
don't buy it.
Stop buying it.
Right. So, and I can understand sometimes not all members of a household can be on board. We may live with other family members, even extended family members that might be a little bit stuck in their ways. I can understand, but I really think having things on eye level and always having an option. So, I will say almost every night of the week out of my 3 kids, I have at least one of them that says, I don't like that. And then the other kid, that's their favorite food. So, we'll do a lot of things where you get to plan. We will rotate who is the one who picks the meal. So it's your turn tomorrow. And what do you like? And I tend to find that I don't plate the meals for the kids. I give them their plates, and then we eat family style, and they figure it out and they pick. And I don't like anything here. Well, what thing here could you like? And if they sit and eat a little bit, they will then say, oh, can I try the salad? Can I try the green beans? It's really interesting, and they always do.
Their taste buds change as well. So what they might not have liked before, they end up liking it now. My daughter hated salads.
Yes.
But now she loves salads. So when we go out to eat or at home, she asks for a salad on the side, and she'll ask for lettuce, more lettuce. Like, can I have more lettuce? Which is to waiters, that's awkward.
I know.
But I'm just bring it in.
So leaning into it. I will always have my kids' favorite healthy foods available.
Good.
To be honest, I do not like raw red peppers. My entire rest of my family loves raw red peppers. So I almost always have raw red peppers cut up in my fridge for the rest of them. And it's okay, and I've taught them, it's okay that that's not my favorite. I'll have an alternative vegetable for me, and I make sure their favorites are always there. My kids are just as picky. They're just as monotonous. They just have their favorite foods are healthy foods. They're just as picky
we
about
have preferences, and then picky eaters. It really depends on the kid as well and how they were raised. But what I found that helps tremendously is two things. One, I have a family calendar where I, on a Sunday usually or Saturday sometimes, I'll say, pick a day that you want to make a meal. You've got to make that full meal. I'll be here to assist you, but I don't care how old you are, you're going to help with that meal. So they get to choose, what do you want to make this week, right? It's great for them because they're learning to cook, and two, they get to see what it's like to make a meal for the whole family, and whether they like it or not, you're still putting that energy. And number two, if you have kids that don't like fruits and vegetables, another way around it to get it in their bodies is smoothies.
Always.
I do a lot of smoothies, and the best time to give it to them is in the morning. For me, it's in the morning because they're off to school and they need the energy.
Right.
A bagel's not going to provide what they need. Oatmeal? You do not want oatmeal in the morning. I mean, you're just looking for your kids to crash. It's like,
and you can sneak in some probiotics in there. Open up some, homeopathic things if you feel like
you can
something sneaking in. Lots of things can get hidden in a smoothie. I love a good smoothie.
Absolutely. Sometimes, once in a while, if they're tired of the smoothie, I'll throw in whipped cream, a tiny bit on the top, just to make it look all pretty.
Yeah.
And then you can throw in other things in there too that your kids might like, but at least you're getting the veggies and fruit that they need. But I throw in a lot of vegetables in there. A lot of vegetables, and then when you can kind of mix it up with other fruits to lose the taste of the vegetables. But that works very, very well for my family, at least.
The nutritionist at NWHS introduced me to a product called Greens First that I really love. That comes in chocolate and berry, and that is, all of your vegetables in there. There are just some times where either, I will lean on things like that when maybe I'm running low on groceries, when I wanted a little extra chocolate boost, or my kids are watching me like a hawk to make sure I don't put the spinach in it. So, they don't know that that's just really ground up vegetables.
I know, 1 cup has
so easy, everything you need, and vegetables and fruits and probiotics, because we get we have the pro version of it, so you have to get it through a healthcare provider, but it's so great.
It is, actually. I've used it in the past, but now I'm like, because I do a lot of smoothies, we're just drinking the vegetables, and I don't know if you are aware, or maybe the viewers are not aware, but when you have liquid food, your body processes it a lot faster, right? You may need more, right? You need to actually eat, so you want it to kind of slow down a little bit, especially with individuals like me have a very fast metabolism, so that helps, but you probably want to try and consume it.
Do you know even pretending like you're chewing it will aid in the digestion? So to be able to chew your smoothie will then start that salivatory glands, which will then really get the whole digestive tract. So
absolutely, and that's what I mean. You want
to
chew it versus drinking it. I mean, it's great to drink it, but when you chew it, is a completely different story.
Completely different.
So what are some easy ways to reduce sugar and processed foods in a family's diet? I know we talked about just don't buy it, but
I know. The other thing is just make it. I mean, that's really how you do it. And I never like to say never to anything, right? And so I really have taken the past year for myself and really looked at all of the different things. Like, for instance, listen, we all love a good ice cream. New Englanders eat more ice cream per capita than anywhere else in the world. So we love ice cream, right? And do I never want to say never? And I was doing even a non-dairy ice cream because I have some lactose sensitive kiddos in my household. And I was looking at the ingredients the other day and saying, I can do better than this. And now we make our own ice cream. I mean, and so, yes, it was a little bit of a learning curve, and now it's just as easy for me. It's 2 ingredients. I buy them, I have it, and it's so much better, and I know what's in it. And the kids get to pick their flavors. The strawberry has real strawberry, or the chocolate has good chocolate, and we make it. And
I've never made ice cream.
So I, for my wedding, got the Cuisinart, right, that everyone gets. So they do make a Cuisinart ice cream maker, but I have the attachment for my Cuisinart baking stand.
Nice.
And I keep the container in the freezer, so it's always ready to go. And so
that's so good. That's so good. But you know what I've noticed a lot is at the grocery stores, ice cream is not really ice cream, or there's a lot of the desserts, which now they call it desserts.
Right.
If you don't see the label ice cream, and you see just the label dessert, it's really not.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
But legally, they have to put the word in there to be able to sell it.
So just overall, I mean, just finding those things that it doesn't, so again, don't tie the sugar with rewards. I mean, if we're going to have something sweeter, if we want to do berries dipped in chocolate, I mean, we make it more of a family event. It's not just that mindless snacking while we're watching TV, or the mindlessness. It's more intentional. It has more of a community spirit to it, which will then create different bonds and memories for the kids.
But also you then find yourself with this other challenge where if you withhold sugar and sweets,
you don't want to do that.
You know, what are you kids going to want, right? They're going to beg for that, and they're going to crave it even more. So that becomes a whole new challenge. But I think if you just educate your kids more about why we don't have it, or once in a while we will, that sort of thing, not a reward for staying healthy. So how important is physical activity for family health, and what are some ways to stay active together?
I'm going to tell you too, Nora, that it's not even just physical health, it's where you even doing your physical health. Because I really think being outside, being in nature, being connected is really important. I mean, it's one thing, trying to, be in the home, but getting them outside as often as you can. I mean, we will even sometimes it doesn't matter what temperature it is, we will first thing in the morning go and stand on the back deck and put our eyes to the sunlight, really get acquainted with what we're doing, and that act of doing something physical. But again, making it so that's maybe a reward. Like, we get to go bring our bikes to the park, we get to go and walk the trail, we get to go and do this, and being in nature as often as possible has so many added benefits to the physical activity. And I had a friend once say that there's no such thing as bad weather, it's just bad dressing. So the way that you are dressed for the day, and so we could go out, rain, shine, cold, warm, it doesn't matter. You just dress for the weather and teach the kids how to do that.
Absolutely. I would go hiking with my kids in the middle of the snowstorm.
It's fun.
And it's fun. Oh my God, the
They
snow
love it.
falling, you're in the woods. I mean, you just put snow pants, boots, and you're fine.
Totally.
You live, I mean, don't go extreme, or your safety is a concern, but be cautious and have fun.
Yeah.
Be active. What role does sleep play in overall health, and how can families improve sleep habits?
Sleep is one of the non-negotiables. That's where we repair. That's where we go into rest and digest. That's really where, especially for kids, things like growing happens. I mean, again, my kids, they've got bumps and bruises and scrapes and cuts and aches and pains from all of the physical activity they do. And so if that sleep is not there, if they're sleepless during school, they're going to not pay attention. We don't pay as well attention if we don't get a good night's sleep. So it's creating a sleep routine and sleep hygiene. And people don't talk about the sleep hygiene as much. What is the temperature in the room? How dark is it? And kids are tough because they like that light on. They like this. But once everyone's in bed, for me, I mean, and I still have a 5-year-old that's like, can you leave the light on? And so for me, once he falls asleep, I shut that off, because even light on your skin can affect your REM cycle. And I like to have those salt lamps, so that red amber light, because for safety concerns, I want a light to be on in the hallway, but that amber light doesn't have the same effect to be able to just illuminate for safety habits. So
Yep.
That's what goes on after a certain time.
No, absolutely. And then, of course, when you don't eat well, it affects your sleep as well.
It's interconnected.
You know, they're interconnected. So you have to really be cautious of that as well. What can parents, or how can parents set a good example for healthy living?
Yeah, I think it's really a lot of the self-love that we bring to that, you know, and really being aware of the way you're coming to each meal with your family. Things that you're saying, not really, you know, trying not to put labels on things. You know, this is good, this is bad. It's choices that we make, and we always make choices. And so coming to that, and you know, not putting so much emphasis around it, I think, and just being intentional with every meal that you have, whether you even feel like you're rating yourself better or worse. There's times, right? It's not always going to be perfect, and you'll be on the road, or you'll be in between games, and you're going to do the best you can. But you know, explaining to your kids why this is the best choice in that moment that we could make, and how we could maybe do better, and show a little bit of humility in that situation.
Absolutely. I mean, they take a lot of the similar steps that you do as a parent, and you want to take care of yourself. So when you're taking care of yourself, you're more likely to have a child who's going to take care of themselves in whatever form or way that you do. So what are the best ways to reduce stress and create a healthier home environment?
There's so many
big one.
What do you like to do? I mean, and some parents, I mean, I love the power of music, right? Putting some music on at any time can really change the atmosphere. So, you know, leaning into that, what's causing us to be stressed out right now? How can we flip the mood in some way? Do we need to go to different corners and have a little time out ourselves? You know, and sometimes that's for the grown-ups as much as it is for the kids. You know, how can we lean into that? But teaching our kids things like, it's so great that our TVs now, right? You can, in 2 seconds, flip to anything. You can watch your YouTube channel. You can watch, you know, Cosmic Kids Yoga and put something on like that. You know, but what is it that your kids like? What's in the toolbox? So building a toolbox of things like maybe yoga, meditation, music, you know, things like tapping. Teach your kids how to do tapping, which is really great for your nervous system.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I've done that with my kids.
Yes. And then saying, what do you like to your kids? Leaning into that, and then empowering them to say, you know, it seems like right now we're all a little stressed. You know, do you have a suggestion of what you would like to do right now? Planning tends to, tends to take the stress.
And there's
out
even
of things.
games now, talking points. There's
many
games to help you have these conversations with your kids and be open about everything that's going on. Like, you know, what do you think is going well for our family in this and that particular way? What do you think we can improve? Or can I provide anything more to you, or can I provide something less of you? I think those information conversations are very important to staying healthy and having that family bond and connecting, right? But if you're just going in and out and somewhat once in a while having a meal together and you're living separate lives, I mean, do you call it family or do you call that roommates? So you have to fully invest in communication with your family. Okay.
Can I add to, Nora, that, you know, growing up, I found that when I wasn't great at something, I got a coach in that thing, whether it was a sport, whether it was an academic, you know, and we forget as adults sometimes that can really accelerate the learning curve or help us where we have gaps. So, you know, if maybe you're not so great at nutrition, maybe you need a nutrition coach. If you're not great at, you know, that life communication and organization, maybe they need to call you, you know, like where is there an expert? And you've had so many experts on to be able to say,
I mean, this is what this whole show is about, bringing different experts, right, that specialize in different parts of the world to help you and understand how to get yourself better. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to make all those decisions, right? You have to create an environment for yourself and your children that's going to protect you, but also help you thrive. So if you don't have an idea if you're eating healthy or you need guidance how to eat healthy, go to a nutritionist. Right? Find a place that can support you on that end. Or if you have any health issues, find a specialist to help you with that, right? Most nutritionists can help with a lot of health issues overall, right? Without needing any special drugs or treatments
Right.
from a medical doctor. So you have to make those decisions. But if you have any mental health issues, and I hate calling it issues, but if you're struggling mentally,
Challenges, right.
find someone that specifically focuses on what you're struggling with, right? Because not everybody has an experience with what you're looking for when it comes to seeking help. So if a family is struggling in making healthier choices, what's the best place to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best place that I tell everyone is journal down what's happening now. Because sometimes just writing it down, being accountable to yourself, you can easily see the patterns. How was I feeling? What was going on? What were we eating? Just be an observer before you try to go and fix things and change too many things. It's a fun science experiment, and we can't change too many variables at once. So first of all, that will be overwhelming. And second of all, we won't know what will exactly change the needle. And then if you do end up working with a provider, a professional, you then will have a record of what you were doing, which is going to be so helpful because they're going to ask you that anyways. You know, what have you been eating?
Great
What
to
have you been doing?
journal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, journal every day. What you're eating, how did you feel after it? I think within an hour or so.
Yeah.
If you feel all sluggish and it's really affecting you in a negative way, then yes, take a look at exactly what you're doing. But journaling is actually very helpful, because when you do go to a nutritionist, if you have any gut issues, you can kind of see your patterns. Like, wow, I actually have a huge dessert every single night, or I'm having soda, or maybe I'm having too much coffee, or maybe you're not allowing yourself to have a long night of sleep, or whatever patterns you kind of can see, and the nutritionist can help you, right? Kind of find some patterns that are not.
Sometimes we think we're doing more than we're doing, or we end up doing more than we even think we're doing, and we're better than we are.
We're so busy though, right? We're too busy to realize what we're actually doing and whether we're helping ourselves or causing more trouble.
I know. And now, I mean, with that, we have little computers in our hands all day. I mean, I just say phone eats first. Take a picture of it. You know, if that's the way you journal, then just take a picture. You don't have to write it all down and recall it at the end of the day. Just snap photos as you go, and, you know, just make it really simple.
It's got a timestamp. It's got a date.
That's
you know exactly what you had that day. Yeah, exactly. What is one myth about family health that you'd like to debunk?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to tell people that, you know, a lot of it isn't our fault. We've been inherited with some bad genes, you know, too. That a lot of these things, and I don't know if you know this, but toxic heavy metals can go 2 generations. So we really have to look at, you know, being a New Englander, there were so many factories, there were so many people that worked around heavy machinery, and that was carried 2 generations. And so a lot of this toxic burden and overwhelm, you know, so I guess my biggest myth is that, you know, if we're just like, you know, better most of the time, we can overcome the challenges that we have. I will say, unfortunately, in 2025, Nora, that's going to be one of the biggest myths, and you really do have to look at, is there something really hiding underneath this? Something that is, you know, a co-infection, something that's going on. I know you had a guest on recently, and she was talking about her experience with Lyme disease, you know, which is way more common than anyone's going to tell you.
It is, actually. Many people they're not aware of it.
Right.
But it really tremendously affects your body long term. And years, I mean, like, to really get yourself into a healthy position again. And it's so simple. You can just be outdoors.
We're trying to do the right thing. We're going on a hike with our family.
Right, exactly.
So, and there you go, you're exposed. You know, mold is another thing. We're going to have so many families go to their, you know, family cottage up in New Hampshire, Maine, down the Cape. Those seaside towns have a ton of mold exposure. You know, maybe your kids are a little off on those vacations.
That's true.
And so where are we, you know, growing up in these older homes, and what's happening? And so I think that's the biggest myth, is that, you know, everything can be a quick fix. It can't always be. It's not just that we did a 21-day cleanup and here we go. A lot of things aren't that simple in today's world, unfortunately.
You have to fully commit, like you said, 21-day fix. Yes, you may lose a few pounds if that was your goal.
That was the goal.
But are you actually forming a healthy habit from that on?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you're not, you just starved yourself for 21 days, and now, 30 days after that, you're back to where you were. So what's the point of you spending so much energy and time into the 21 days where it's brought you back to where
That
you
might
were?
not be the biggest factor. Like there might
Right.
be something else that you
Form
need to do
habits first, and then work on your goal.
Yes.
And that goes with everything. So where can people find you? How can they search for your services
that's
or come to you?
Thank you. We're Nutrition and Whole Health Solutions. We're active on Instagram under NWHS Solutions, and so that's a place to be able to find us. On the web, it's pretty easy. If you do that search, we'll come right up. We are in Stoneham Center. We've been there for 8 years. Like I said, it is an 18-year-old business, so it's got some great searchability. And come to our website, interact with us on social media. That's always a lot of fun. And if you want to come in, we have plenty of different services. If you don't mind, if anyone wanted to come for the first time, I'd love to offer your audience $50 off an initial consultation. So just mention
That's
the
a big
show,
discount.
and we'll help you out there.
Oh, that's awesome. And you do have a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, over-the-top facility.
Thank you so
and
much.
I don't just say that because I've used the services in the past, and you guys have helped me a lot.
Thank you.
But it is you have a ton of different services. I don't know if you want to touch base a little bit on that,
Yeah.
but you pretty much can help anyone. Anyone.
Different things. Yeah, I mean, nutrition is the foundation because you're not going to heal without that. If people are having some of those co-infections, some issues that may need some help getting over mold, parasites, Lyme, heavy metals, any kind of toxicity, we will do a service called nutrition response testing, which is a form of testing to help and figure out exactly what your body needs or doesn't need, maybe even some foods. If that's a little too abstract for some people, we will do the functional lab testing. And I think it's a little bit bigger investment to start. I always say start with some easy nutrition.
Right, but it's a
and
very,
go from
very
there.
detailed
right
report.
there, yeah.
I loved that because it really clearly states everything that's going on in your body, and then where you need to make little tweaks, and
does.
also where you need most support.
It's a journey. It's all a journey. We can help people with, Reiki, some energy facilitation. For our adults, we have lymphatic drainage, detox foot baths, and a service for injuries, inflammation, things like arthritis, sports injuries, and that's called Soft Wave. It's an acoustic sound wave. So
That's amazing.
Love energy modalities.
Spend
Keep
a whole day
following us.
there.
You can.
Yes.
Bring
Yeah.
the whole family.
Well, I mean, just the vibe once you walk in there, it's like, oh, you're at a spa and you're being, very well respected and treated kindly. So that's
Thank you.
huge for individuals, and it's inviting.
Most healthcare settings don't feel like that, so I
I
wanted
know.
it to feel
that's why I
opposite.
felt the need to really state that,
Thank
because
you.
when I walk in, I feel like, wow, I don't want to go outside anymore. Yeah.
But we
so-
should go back outside. So.
Yeah. No, I know. Yes, absolutely.
what you mean.
But yeah. But Sarah, thank you so much for sharing so much information, and how families can live healthier and be healthier with one another and or alone. But I appreciate your feedback and sitting here. So hopefully our viewers come to you and get some support, because again, you do have a lot of services that you provide, and I feel like anyone can come to you, whatever issues they may be facing, or at least get an evaluation.
Absolutely.
Right? Just to make sure you're on the right track. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to our future connections.
Thanks, Nora.
Thank you.